Hello, I'm the Mad Monk. I'm going to teach you a little today how easy composting is. And we can use these same principles when we go into the forest, when we um, when we're camping, when we're dispersed camping. Do you know that that's free? You can stay in one spot for 2 weeks, and you can enjoy that spot. And if you bring a couple of little hand tools, you could actually improve that area for the next time you'd like to go there, or for the next person that wants to go there. So, what I'm going to introduce you to today is some ideas about landscaping and how we can create healthy, happy, abundant landscape everywhere we go. And so, like right here, uh, 20 years ago, I was about 12 feet under. I'd be about 12 feet under the dirt that was right here. But I took a bulldozer and I cleaned out some of it, and so then I had soil here that was totally uh, it was lacking the ability of absorbing water. I mean, so like the rain would come and it would just wash away, and it wasn't very healthy. So I started learning about things I wanted to learn about, and I realized that okay, this is the way that nature is going to best benefit from our trash. And so um, and like if you've got a most people have to go poop every day, right? And so if you did this where you have to go poop, you can just drop your poop right into the trench, especially when you're camping. Or if you have a composting toilet, if you're living in a house, or in some sort of shelter, if you have a composting toilet, then you can just haul it out and dump it in a trench. But um, that that is a whole process. You got to check out the Human Manure Handbook if you want to do that. Because there's ways to make it to where it won't stink. Because that's what is gross is when people are pooping in a pooping in a bucket, not doing it the right way. It really really stinks. But if you put coffee grounds on it and you put some sawdust on it and you put the cantaloupe rinds on it and you put some cardboard in it and then I mean it's very little poop compared to how much like coffee you have on it. So um, and you can dig a trench with any tool. This is just a wedge. And so what we're doing is we're this area has been composted before, but all it is good soil. And so what we're doing is we're just getting down to a hard layer of dirt where we don't want to work any harder to get any deeper, you know, and we're making it to where we're pulling some material to the surface that hasn't been seen for some time, and we're making a line in the ground, because this is the easiest way to do it that I know of. And I'm not saying that it is the easiest way, because maybe somebody else knows a better way. And then I hope to watch their big old bug. Um, I hope to watch their YouTube channel one day, so it's easier for me. But as far as I know, this is the best way to do it right now. Well, unless you have a machine. But it only took me here a couple of minutes. Even the part that I did before I turned on the camera, um, just a couple of minutes to get a suitable deal, a little trench into the ground that I can get rid of the stuff that I didn't want in my house, right? And see, okay, like right there's a piece of paper. No, that's a piece of plastic. It kind of feels like paper that was composted before. But I mean, it was only composted like maybe a year or two ago, so it's not decomposed. So that, because it doesn't decompose, it would be better as an archery target. So what I'll do is I'll just put it over here, that's where the archery target material will go. But like dog hair, I swept up from the house. I regularly get dog hair because I guess I just don't brush them often enough. So that goes into the trench. And then this is some cardboard and some banana peels. And what else we got here? We got more banana peels and cardboard, you know. And then, and if I had to go to the bathroom, I could go right into that trench too, right? And you want to make it your trench so you're covering it with at least 6 inches of material. Especially if there's going to be anybody else around an area. I mean, you really want to be polite, right? And so it's just some goo from the kitchen sink, right? And the bathroom. So we got some Q-tips, and those are just cotton, so those break down. And I didn't even have to throw away my plastic trash liner. I mean, it's still capable of being used because I didn't send it to the dump so that it rots away underground. I'm using it right here. So now the other thing that I do here, because it's the place that I live, is I want to make it better, right? And so when there's a piece of wood, right? That one in there is probably a bigger piece of wood, and if I break it down a little bit, it'll break down easier, right? Smaller pieces. And so like this little garden area right here, this had a layer of chipped up yard waste, like a mulch, a couple inches. And so this is like an aspect of what do they call it? Lasagna gardening. You do layers, right? And so when you do layers, you have, like on this, we're going to have a layer of dirt above the layer of mulch. And then it's just a layer just to cover it, not to really like pack it in or anything. But see, and like right here, we've got the potato bug. Actually, he's not even a potato bug. He's called a wood louse. And I don't know if you can see him, but it's a little roly-poly. And roly-polies, they take metals out of the ground and they eat them and they turn them into a body. And so they're actually a really handy little bug to have in your garden. And I don't use any poisons because I like life, right? I mean, because life is better than, it's not that life is better than death, but I mean, if I'm going to be maintaining a body here on this planet, I'd rather work towards life than death. So, there's all sorts of them in here. They're like, holy shit, man, you just destroyed my home. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to make it better, though. It's like, yeah, man's plan. Just leave it to the divine design, bro. That's what they're telling me. So, this is some dried weeds that I would have either had to burn them up or throw them away. But I'm just going to break those up and I'm going to put those right in the same trench that, like if you were camping, you could be pooping and peeing into, right? And if you're camping, it's a good idea to put this trench where it's on a hillside. So so say you have a hillside coming down like this, and you were to cut a trench across the hillside, and you flatten down, you make a little terrace. Well, that gives you a good place to be able to, stand and or squat and do your duty. But what that also does is the water that falls on the land right there is going to find your trench and it's going to spread out and it's going to soak in and it's going to hydrate all of that life, the spongy organic material that you just put into the ground, it's going to hydrate that. And so now when we hydrate that, we make it to where it's holding moisture, and it's like a sponge, right? And so if you have a sponge sitting across the hillside, it holds water and it releases it slowly, and then as it's decomposing, it's providing nutrients into the ground that maybe it didn't have before. Maybe there's a diversity of nutrients now available because of all this stuff that you're putting into the ground in a way that it can absorb it. Because, carbon is a good thing. And it's, because it's carbon dioxide is what the trees breathe. The plants, they breathe that. And when they turn it into something that's solid, like a tree or roots, then it's even a better thing, right? And so if we start taking all of this material that would be a fire hazard, because like right now, I've made this area, kind of fire resistant, but if I caught this on fire and just tossed it to one of these, little areas where there's some other dry brush, it could be kind of a scary experience, because, you've probably watched the news and fire happens, right? It's like shit happens. And I went camping and I saw how many people don't know how to handle their own shit, right? and so I figure, I'm like, is it because people are completely lazy and irresponsible and they don't care? Or is it because they don't know that if they do something a different way, we're going to build a different world to experience? Because that's all we are. We're a bunch of individuals. But if all of these individuals are doing things the same way, and that same way promotes everybody only being able to go camping a couple nights a year, and then they don't know how to poop when they go camping, because there's no flush button. There's not water. It's just going to carry your poop away to a plant where it's being processed and then sold, right? Why are they charging you to take it if they're charging somebody else to take it from them? That's just silly, but it's the truth. Look it up. We're in the information age. If you don't know something, all you have to do is look it up. It might take you a little bit because there's certain things they don't want you to know. They want you to know what Kim Kardashian wore today. They want you to know that some old lady that thought she was like the ruler of a kingdom or a queendom died the other day. You got to know about that stuff, but you don't need to know about how to maintain your health and how to maintain your landscape so that it's healthy and it can grow all of your food locally, right? Because I didn't learn that in school, but I think that that's something that I should have learned because that seems like it's kind of important. So now this little trench that we have, it's working to do several things. So because we've just put all of this stuff, these sticks, into the ground, and then the next time it rains, they're going to be wet because we've used gravity and just our forethought of what gravity is going to do to that water as it falls on the hill. And we've managed the landscape in a way that it's going to catch that water and it's going to hold that water right there because it's in a spongy material. And when that area is growing green, This can be done on a really big scale too. I mean, it doesn't have to be just, 12 inches deep and 2 feet long. I mean, I've got trenches um, here on this model that I'm creating that are hundreds of feet long, and it's 8 feet deep and like 4 to 6 feet wide. And it's all logs and branches and just everything that you can gather. This is just a little small scale project, so that way we can focus on the benefits of it, not the magnitude that it needs or that it should be um, implemented. So, but yeah. Anyway, so then basically, then you just cover it up, right? So then you take the material that's next to it and you spread it out over it, and now in just a few weeks, well, this garden doesn't get a lot of water, so within a few months, if you dig that up, you won't even find those Q-tips, because worms and the little bugs and just it getting wet and then getting letting off, it just starts turning back into dirt, and it's kind of a cool process. I mean, it's like this place that we live here on Earth was divinely designed by an entity many call God, or others they call it Allah. It's like all of us, all of us, all of us are expressions of what God is. Because if God isn't one thing and God is everything, and I'm part of everything because, well, I'm here with the device and that's part of everything. So it was designed. It was everything, right? Everything was designed so that it can work for us. But it depends on what you're putting on that device. It depends on which direction it's working for us and how. So if we're going to take up people's time, we should educate. There's room for entertainment too, but um, but an education, in my opinion, should be forefront, because what we've done right here, it reduces fire, because we've taken the products of the land that would have caught on fire and maybe spread and cause damage and kill animals or people or destroy homes. And now we put it in the ground where it's going to provide a green barrier that when fire comes up to, it stops. So now if you make these barriers, these green zones, maybe 50 to 100 feet wide, all the way through the forest, you're creating buffers natural buffers that won't burn easily. And so we can minimize the damage of fire. And when we make it to where the rain, when it falls on the ground, it stays right where it's at, as close as possible, I mean, within reason. Let's not get silly about this. But when we make the water seep into the ground right where it's at, we reduce flooding, because it's not just gravity carrying it downhill. We're not just allowing the product of erosion that's existed for thousands of years to continue to burden us. We're recognizing our role as a creator in our life, so that we can see that if we're not going to let the beaver work and do his job to make a healthy, hydrated landscape where everything thrives, then we need to at least learn from the beaver to create a healthy landscape that works with our modern infrastructure and all of our human desires, so that it works. Because we've allowed other people, someone somewhere else, for a long time to dictate policies and regulations, and we're not experiencing what a divinely designed landscape is capable of delivering us. We're experiencing what man's plan of control and deceit and power has implemented into our experience. So anyway, that's what that's about. So erosion, and when we stop that water, we're preventing erosion. We're preventing the good soil that's in the mountains from making it into the bottom of the creeks and the rivers, and then it causes the rivers to widen and causes flooding problems, right? And then if we are holding the water to the landscape in sponges that hold it and slowly release it, we're building aquifers that promote springs. And springs that flow year-round can be easily managed. It's the surges of water that are difficult. That's what causes destruction. Drought is prevented when we are holding water to the landscape. Famine, because in a green landscape, more things can grow, right? I mean, if it's got more water, more plants can grow. And, like here, I'm building a forest and I'm out in the desert. And so you start off with just piling stuff on the ground so it's giving it some shade. And sometimes that's mulch, sometimes that's pallets, sometimes it's cardboard, sometimes it's whatever you can do to get the ground shaded and hold on to a little bit more water. And then once trees start growing, like these trees here, I didn't plant them. They just started growing. I just made the ground better and trees started growing. And it wasn't the exact trees I wanted, but it was trees that said, hey, I can grow here. Watch, And so then they grow, and at the minimum, they produce a resource. They drop their leaves. They provide food for animals because I can cut these branches off. I can feed them to my goats. They like them. I can cut the tree down, and if I leave it just a few feet tall, it'll just grow back. But I can cut that all down, and I could use that to burn fuel in my my fireplace, my wood stove. So there's so much that nature's trying to do for us, but we're trying so hard to control it without recognizing the benefits from it. So anyway, that's my video on how to compost and save the world from fire, flood, erosion, drought, famine, and homelessness, because those resources that we create, they can also build houses, they can build shelters. And it's regulations that are keeping people homeless. Luckily, there's solutions to all of the problems that we face. It's just that they're not popularly supported or implemented on a big scale yet. They're being implemented elsewhere. I mean, here in America, we act like we're a leader, but when we're not leading by example, we're just leading by expectation. We're looked at as a hypocrite. And so I'm trying to build a model here that brings the best ideas from around the world into one place. And when we do that, it's a wow, oh wow, I didn't think of that. I never saw that before. It's like, because there's a lot of things I never saw before I saw them. It's like I didn't know what I didn't even know that I didn't know things until I knew them, And then I realized that I might know a little about a lot of things, but it's unlikely that I'll ever know everything about anything. And so when I kind of realized the vastness of my ignorance, I started just like brainstorming. I said, okay, what are the problems? So I said problems. Okay, problem A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and there's a lot of them, right? I'm not going to go into all of them right now, but and then I said, okay, all right. So we have problems, but the other half of that equation is solutions. What are the solutions to this? And then I started realizing that, well, one problem, when treated in a different way, became the solution to this problem and this problem and this problem. And then when you solved this problem and this problem and this problem, you also solved this problem and this problem and this problem. So then the problems became few because the solutions are many. It's just that they're not popular. So let's make them popular. Like, share, subscribe, help get this message out. I'm the Mad Monk, and I'm trying to save the world. But I can't even in the sunlight. I can't find the cursor. Oh, this is funny. Let's see how we do this.